Welcome to Chai After Dark, everyone. I'm Shabnam, and I'm here with Sameem. And I have a question for you, Sameem.
What's that?
Is cheesecake a cake or a pie?
I know why you're asking me.
That was what Fulani asked Omnia.
Oh, I like cheesecake, and I like it because, A, it's not super sweet, and I don't trust people that are overtly sweet anyways, so yeah, cheesecake it is. Hey, hold the sugar. Very bitter cheesecake.
The question is cheesecake a cake or a pie? Not if you like
That's not a real question. Is that a real question? No wonder those two didn't get along. They talk about the dumbest shit. Hey, I think it's a cake. But pies are baked as well, so I don't actually know.
Yeah, me and Brian, we had a debate about this, and he says cake, I say pie, because it's baked, it has a crust. It's literally a pie. It's a cheese pie.
Ew. I think it depends on what you're looking for, and it depends on the evening, whether you're into cake or pie.
Okay.
This is Muslim Matchmaker, right? Hey, I'm going to take it down a notch. I woke up pretty early this morning. It's Sunday morning here. It's Valentine's Day weekend. And we decided to cover Hulu's Muslim Matchmaker, which is, the listeners might know, somewhat triggering. I'm not sure. We'll find out. We have a lot to get through.
Hey, all I'm going to say is I'm glad we started this podcast and we did Indian matchmaking after I got married, because that would be triggering too. Now I'm like,
I get to sit here. I get to sit here and be triggered. That's great. Let's go. Hey, let's bring everyone, all my past. Let's convert this from Muslim Matchmaker to what the fuck is going on with Sameem this morning.
No, but Yasmin is in your shoes too. She's a divorcee and she's a matchmaker. So I think you should end up going on the show because you also have experience of what to do and what not to do. And you know how to get married. You do it all the time.
I know how to get married. Yeah. And, I know what not to do, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. So life's too short to play by the rules. And that's kind of what I figured would be this episode, a bunch of people with a bunch of rules. But I don't know. I'm very no rules this morning. I did have to take a long walk this morning. You're right.
Okay, so that's Yasmin. But then we have Huda. Huda's like 28. On her second kid. She's pregnant during the show. So, I mean, I don't know. Would you rather take financial advice from somebody that won the lottery? So apparently she's got married probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And she's here trying to give our boy Neebs some advice, 40-year-old man who's not been married. I'm kind of like, do you know how to give that guy advice?
Yeah.
28-year-old.
It's weird,
who's
right?
Yeah.
I'll say this. So Huda is 28 years old on the show. So maybe she's 29 now. Who knows?
Yeah.
She's probably had her baby by now.
Right? Yeah, she has. Yeah.
12 years ago, I was 5 years older than Huda. So you tell me what she knows.
Yeah.
I kind of, look, she seems like a great person. Yasmin seems like a great person as well. I'm not shitting on either of them. It's just sort of like, we can all introduce somebody to somebody and then hope it picks up or there's a connection. And I make this point at Indian Matchmaking as well. And all listeners, please go back and listen to Indian Matchmaking. Now that I think about it, that shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
Please go back and listen to it. We say the same thing. Seema Auntie has a limited number of people in her Rolodex, and she's matching up this person with that person. And then if that person doesn't work out, then he goes to the next person. So I think they make a good point on dating apps. I don't think there's a very specific way to get married that works for everyone. But hey, if Yasmin and Huda are intelligent people, so maybe they can make it happen. I don't think I'd go that route.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's just a shot in the dark. And I know people hate when you say this, like whenever it's meant to be, it'll happen when it's time. But I feel like that's how it happened for me. Like, I feel like I was trying all kinds of things and then I met my husband completely freaking randomly, like totally randomly.
I didn't believe you when you told me. I was like, hey, this story doesn't seem real. Right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to tell. I don't tell the specific story because it's not the
it's not that weird. It's not that weird. We met at a mutual friend's like to meet their baby, basically party, right? It was really random. Like normally,
you both had baby fever. Looked at each other, you saw that glimmer, and you were like, shit, we both need to have a baby. And then y'all got together.
No,
No, that's not what
our
happened.
mutual friend was like, "You need to go talk to him. He has the same job as you." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. I don't talk to strangers. Like, I'm introverted." So I just didn't do it. But I was like, "Okay, like when that person comes around this way, I'll say hi." And then neither of us did it for a while. So then that friend brought him over, and then he's more extroverted. So he actually like carried on this really long conversation talking about nerdy like job stuff. And then it kind of went from there. So yeah, it was really, really random.
Yeah.
Never
Hey, when you met Brian, did you ask him 300 questions within
no.
3 months? And did you guys only see each other 3 times? Because, it can't be 2 times, can't be 4 times. It has to be 3 times.
He got a little sick in the first 3 months. So, I think we maybe only did see each other, like, maybe 4 times in 3 months, the first 3 months,
So,
so
so they're right. The rules of three works. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to like get your entire marriage null and voided because you hung out too much in the first 3 months. I completely agree with that. You're gonna fucking move in with someone. Look, there's like a lot to unpack here, right? Because everybody gets married in a different manner. And
Mhm.
Muslims, as you guys know, I don't think it's the full story being shown on Hulu. I don't think it's that specific. I don't think it's that regimented. I don't think people are actually that rigid. I think it's somewhat of a same thing we talk about
Mixed
with Indian
bag.
matchmaking. It's a mixed bag. Everybody has a spectrum of what they're comfortable with. And they do ask about halal haram ratios, which is the most ridiculous thing on earth because you can't judge yourself, right? But, anyways, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you and Brian got married in a very normal manner. And if you met someone, you're telling the listeners right now, hey, we met at a come look at my baby and then, singles event afterwards. I don't know what happened, but it worked out, right?
Yeah.
It's so much better to meet someone organically. And I think
Yeah.
even a couple people reference it, but these people can't meet anyone organically. Come on, man.
I mean, but that's the thing. I didn't think I was going to meet people organically. Like, I'm not like a social butterfly, and I'm like slightly on the introverted side. And so I was like, I don't see myself meeting anybody freaking new unless it's like on an app or some kind of stroke of lightning. And it was just like literally a stroke of lightning.
No,
So
don't sell yourself short. Stroke of lightning. Come on. You're saying you had a 1 in 2 million chance of getting married? No. Hey, no. You're not Queen Miriam who
oh
repels.
shit. Okay. Let's
Let's
talk
go.
about Queen
Let's
Miriam,
go.
self-proclaimed Blair Waldorf of her group. I was just
Okay.
like, okay, girl.
I'm
And
really conservative and I'm going to name myself after a rich white fella from the UK. I don't know who Blair Waldorf is, by the way.
it's not a
I'm-
fellow. Blair Waldorf is the rich, bitchy character in Gossip Girl. She's even worse than Blake Lively's character. She's the queen bitch
I
of
don't see gender.
Gossip Girl.
I don't see gender. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. So, hey, Queen Miriam, you're comparing yourself to the worst person on Gossip Girl, certified here on Shy After Dark by
So
Shabnam.
she says she makes $200 an hour, and
Ooh.
so she has no use for somebody buying her a $5
Let's do
coffee.
that quick math. $200 an hour times 40
So
hours a
$400 a
week.
year, $400,000 a year basically is what
Damn,
she's saying she makes.
$416,000 a year if she works 52 hours at 40 hours. Hey, I didn't bust out my calculator, by the way. Hey, no editing. I did that in my head.
Well, I'm sure
Am I
your
right?
granddad would be proud.
He's listening today. Hey, you
No, the
think
short
our family's probably only listening today, right? Matchmaker. So she does come in, and how many times has she been engaged?
3.
And 3 times.
She's been engaged 3 times. Once it didn't work out
Woo.
because she didn't trust the guy with the money. And the second time she said it didn't work out because he didn't let her meet his family. So how did they get engaged?
He was
That's
married.
what I
It's
want to
so
know.
obvious. He's married. He
It's
was married.
Oh
So
yeah, she
obvious.
says that.
Yeah, she
And then
says that. Yeah,
the third guy, it's a mystery. She doesn't say why.
yeah. So it's kind of funny, right? When we do Indian matchmaking, they bust out Aparna and they're like, hey, Aparna is this character and she's going to be very outgoing. She's going to say some controversial things and you're going to listen to her throughout all 8 episodes. Queen Miriam starts off pretty hot and then she
Yeah.
sort of disappears by the third or fourth episode, right? And her lists of wants are not bad. I would say every single list that they created of, what I want, what I don't want, none of it was a red flag, which I thought was
Yeah.
like a very different situation than Indian Matchmaking, where some of the shit was red flags. It's like Bolivian
Yeah.
salt flats. Remember all that shit that these
Yeah.
people wanted or didn't want?
Yeah.
I didn't think Muslim Matchmaker was like that. I think Queen Miriam actually had a very relevant list. It's just like, who gives a shit about the list if your personality is like that? Who gives a shit
Yeah.
then? Right? Or am I
No,
wrong?
but like
Like,
that's the reality is like everybody has a list and then you meet someone. How many of your 2 wives met your list, right? Like
hey, does it sound like I have a list? Does it sound like Sameem has a plan? No, dude. I'm gonna be very honest. This is an open therapy session. Like I said, the fan bam is probably listening because they saw Muslim Matchmaker on Apple or Spotify, and they're like, "Shit, we got to listen to this now." 50 episodes in, by the way.
yeah, 50
50
episodes
episodes in.
in.
Hey, and we do this 50 episodes in. Come on, come on. I didn't have a list. I had.
No, we
Yeah,
already know you get married to women in your proximity. They just happen to be sitting next to you a little too long, so you got married
yep.
to them. That's what
Shit.
happened.
Hey, Shabnam might be joking, but a lot of that is pretty relevant. First wife was a lab partner of mine at a junior college when I was 19 years old. We had no choice. We had to sit next to each other for 3 months. Second wife was sitting next to me at work for 3 months, and we had no choice. We had to start
Yeah,
dating as well. So, and then you can't just date, right? That's what
gotta
they
get
say
married.
throughout. You got to
Yeah.
get married. So I had to. Hey, I did everything these
Hey,
people
so
wanted.
you did 3 months of sitting next to each other?
I did
Was it int
everything.
Did you ask
Yeah,
them 300 questions?
I probably did. Yeah, I probably rapid fired some shit at them. The first thing I asked my second wife was if she was a Taylor Swift fan. And this was in 2015, so this was 10 years back.
Yeah.
And she'll never let it go. I think the only thing she remembers about our 10-year courtship slash marriage slash divorce is, why the fuck did you ask me if I was into Taylor Swift? I was like, that's the only thing I didn't want. It's the only thing I didn't want. And you
That was
said
the only
no.
thing on your list?
Yeah. Yeah. She ended up being a
Oh,
Taylor Swift fan, right? Maybe that's what,
that
culminated in
that's what led to your demise?
pop culture. Pop culture led to the demise. I
Damn.
don't know what we were talking about. Oh, we're talking about Muslim Matchmaker.
We're talking about Miriam, and she ends up dating Omar, right? For their first date, they go to an appliance store so she can, cross a chore off her list while she goes on a date. But God forbid the guy only want to buy her a coffee. She is like, I don't even want to take time out of my schedule to spend with you. You can come with me to do an errand. I was like, wow, girl. Okay. But
She's
then
been wanting to buy. How has she been doing her laundry, by the way? Because she said for weeks and weeks she's been needing a washer dryer.
I
She's
don't
got
know,
some
maybe this is an
soiled
upgrade.
underwear.
God.
She doesn't need it, so I'm
So
sorry. I'm so
this is going off
sorry.
the rails.
I told you, you wake me up on a Sunday morning. I should have just gone to Sunday school today instead of talking about this. I'm just kidding,
Man.
listeners. I'm going to Sunday school anyways after this.
So she ends up going to the appliance store. And of course, she has her chaperone Huda because she's very traditional conservative. She wants to have her chaperone there and available as a lifeline. So at first, I'm like, okay, this is strange. Like you have the chaperone. But then I'm like, I kind of see it because she starts talking to Omar about the washer and dryer. And she tells him she's a topper. And he says he likes it on the bottom. And then
Stop.
he's like,
Stop.
and then she goes, really? You're an under guy? And then they start talking about the size. And I'm like, okay, I get it. We need a chaperone for the first date.
Was that a sexual reference? I cannot imagine that these two even knew. Well, let me take that back. Umar certainly knew what sex was. I think she was legitimately talking about the top of the washer dryer. Like when you open it, are you a topper or are you coming from um, the horizontal angle? Like, I don't know. I don't think it was a sexual reference. I really think she was talking about washer dryers and he was trying to take it somewhere else.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
But
don't know either.
meeting at an appliance store with a chaperone, aren't the cameras a chaperone? Isn't the whole world watching you anyways when you're walking through Lowe's? You really needed Huda staring at you from her car. I
Yeah.
thought it was a little
That
weird.
was that was a little weird. And then the fact that she called Yasmin and they both spied on them. I'm like, okay, guys, this is interesting. But then they start talking about do they want kids or not. And she tells Umar she wants 4 kids. Like
Yeah.
30 seconds before in the confessional, she's like how she wanted 10 kids. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting that we just subtracted 6 kids in the conversation with the guy.
It's really strange. Like, they do want to get married, but why that person? I don't know.
I think she just thought he was cute. I think she saw
No,
him.
I'm
She
talking
thought he
about
was
him.
hot.
I'm talking
Oh.
about him. He starts talking about baby names at the appliance store, and
No, it
even
was it was at their coffee date right after the appliance store, or like whatever. They went to like
oh,
eat food
still
or
the same
something.
day,
Still the same day.
first
Yeah.
day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, he seemed really into her, and did he just want to be on TV? I don't know. I don't believe him.
I
Is
don't
what I'm trying to
know.
say.
They seem to have like physical chemistry and nothing
Mhm.
else, and they didn't know how to deal with it. I don't know. But then he says he's a DJ. I think that might have been on the second date. And then she says, like, in her confessional, I'll come watch you DJ for 30 minutes and then I'm going to read a book until you're done. And this reminded me of Chris Rock talking about he got a divorce because he's not a good tambourine player. Because he says sometimes in marriage, you get to be the lead singer and sometimes you play tambourine. And when you're on tambourine, you got to play it like you mean it. And she just seems like not a good tambourine player. Like, if all you want to do is hang out for 30 minutes, I don't know.
I mean, a Muslim girl going to the club to listen to her husband for 30 minutes, I think that's 30 minutes more than a lot of Muslim girls would do. So I do commend her for literally saying she would go to the club, because she wouldn't, right? If it wasn't for her husband. I don't think she would. Maybe she would now, because she's had quite a blow up. I looked her up
Sh-
on Instagram.
She's got a glow up. She's looking good. Good for
I didn't
Miriam.
recognize her, so it's all good. Like, if you want to take your hijab off, and nobody can say anything about that. That's a personal choice, but she seemed pretty judgy in the episode regarding people's choices around Islam. So I was kind of surprised. And it's not a judgment kind of thing. It's just like, hey, people evolve, right?
Yeah. She lost some weight. She got some filler. She, showing a little more skin. She's had this Heather Gay-esque glow up. I don't know if you know who Heather Gay is, but she's a Salt Lake City girl. And Heather Gay's famous line is, receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots. And I feel like that's really Miriam too. Miriam is the Heather Gay Muslim matchmaker because she was like, share your location. I want a
Duh.
timeline for marriage. And
Duh.
I need all the receipts, the proof, and the timeline that you are going to marry me. So there you go.
Yeah. She was my most red flaggy person.
She's
That
the villain.
out of
She's the
everyone.
villain of Muslim. Yeah.
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 And she's not, I mean, she's not a villain. Let's be real. Like, I don't think, I don't think she's like a terrible person, but
No. Yeah.
the clinginess and then her crying, I think she did cry, and she's saying she
You,
didn't. I think she was obsessed with him, and I think he was obsessed with her in return. But I think it was more like he was almost using her for attention, and she was using him to get married, which is two completely separate things.
yeah. Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah. And then they tell them, right? The matchmakers were like, "You guys need to chill out. Like,
Yeah,
knock it
even
off.
the
You're talking too much.
matchmakers were the matchmakers were like, "Dude, you guys calm the heck
Cool it."
down."
They were
Yasmin
smart,
said,
right? They know. They
"Yeah.
know that it's not. That's not. It wasn't like a love match. They actually knew that, even though you want to spend that much time together.
Yeah, it's like they said it's not sustainable, right? They're
Mhm.
like, "You need to calm the heck down." And they didn't, and it blew up just like they said. It was like a what's the opposite of a slow burn? It was like an explosion. And
But
there
nothing
it
happened.
goes.
They hang out
Yeah.
all the time, and then all of a sudden, she's like, "What's your timeline?" And he wanted to get married within 3 or 4 years, and she's like, "No, you need to call my dad within a year." And his face like drops. He's like, "Wait, what? I have to do what?" and then
Yeah.
and then that was it. She never showed up the next time, and she's so proud of herself. She's like, "Ugh, I blocked him on all socials. I blocked him on here." I'm like, he didn't do
Yeah.
anything. He didn't do
Yeah.
anything. You guys weren't even in a relationship. Like, what do you need to
Yeah.
block him so bad for? Could have just told him, nah, this ain't working out. But taking a timeline that far into like your mindset to make it
That
so
early
negative about
on.
the other person, yeah, that
Yeah.
early on, it was a little strange.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So then we meet Fulani. Fulani from Old Town Road. I was literally like,
he's from Atlanta. Fulani from Atlanta.
yeah, he literally looks like he should be in the Little Nas X Old Town Road video because of like his
His
hats
cowboy
and
hat. Yeah.
his cowboy hats. Yeah, I mean, he's looking sharp. I'm not mad at it, but I was just
Yeah.
like, he's now hooked up with Yasmin and Huda for the Muslim matchmaker process. But before that, he's been on Christian Mingle. He's been on Farmers Only,
Yeah.
casting a wide net. I don't know. Is he an F boy?
He was young. He was 26.
He was
and
28 on the show.
28, 26,
Yeah.
same shit, dude. I
Yeah.
was 28 20 years ago. He was young and a mama's boy, which is fine. I don't have anything against that. He didn't know what he wanted at all.
Yeah.
Like he just
Yeah.
didn't know. He said he had other relationships. He was engaged when he was 19. He's a content creator, photographer. He was definitely an artistic soul. He was trying to be a good Muslim. He had really good Muslim friends that like propped him up and they're like, Inshallah, brother, you get married one day. I was like, man, I wish somebody would talk to me like that. Yeah, he was cool. I think he shouldn't be getting married. I don't think he was ready.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because the main issue with them is, like, she's not a great communicator either. Okay, everything I hate about everyone in this show is something that I've definitely done. So,
What's
like,
that?
she kinda wants to hang back and get to know someone and see if it's worth it for her to put in effort, and so I feel like that's what she did on the first date. She's like, "I'm gonna let him do his thing and see what I think," right? And that doesn't work that well because the other person can think you're, like, a dud or,
You have
like,
to have a conversation. You just
yeah,
have
you
to
have to
have a
have it. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah, and I didn't think she was cool. I thought she was a little up her own butt, and it seemed
Yeah.
like she just wanted to be on TV. And
Well,
he
that's what
actually flew to Maryland for their
yeah.
third date or second date. It's what it seemed
No,
like, right? Because they're on the
y
water, and there's no water in Atlanta like that.
yeah, so for the first date, I thought she was kinda, like, stuck up maybe, but then after
Mhm.
Yasmin talked to her to kinda loosen up a bit, and then she did kind of loosen up for the paint and sip, which I say paint and sip, but it was probably
Yeah,
water, not
there's no
alcohol.
wine.
But they talk and he's not into relocating, and so they have this, like, weird, awkward conversation about long distance relationships not working, but him not willing to relocate, so he's basically like, "You can move to Atlanta for me," which is, like, also kinda jarring on a second date, and then, like, he goes to the 3rd date with her friends, which I don't even know what that activity was because they didn't get into it because he just
Yeah.
starts
It was like some
rambling on
yogi
about his
retreat.
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
but
I
yeah,
was
in
like,
front
"What
of
the
all
fuck?"
her
Yeah.
friends. It was like and then she doesn't show up to their 3rd date. She
Yeah.
stands him up, and
Nope.
it's like,
You know what he
yeah.
says, right? It wasn't like a information piece. "Oh, hey, I'm 28. Yeah, I had a relationship in the past. Now I'm hanging out with your friend, Omnia."
Yeah.
Like, she looks at him and he's like, "When I was with my ex, every day was about her and I was hanging out with her all the time and my entire personality was to, like, be happy with her." And I was like, "Dude, shut the fuck up." This is
Yeah.
First of all, even if this is your real thoughts, bro, you're cooked. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like,
Yeah.
this girl's not even with you anymore. So,
Yeah.
not even getting into the fact that you're around someone that you don't even know and you're trying to marry her. You're not trying to even date her. You're trying to marry her. It's like, man, that's why I said he was like a little bit too young. And then I think you're going to get into it, but he's late for the first two dates,
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour. He doesn't even apologize. He just says,
Yeah.
like, that's it. Like,
Yeah, and then she goes like, "Oh, you're late," and it ends up coming out that he was sitting at the computer, like,
yeah,
playing video games or some shit, and she's like,
or
"Wait,
editing
you
or
were"
something. He was
Yeah.
a content
Eh
creating,
yeah, she's like, "You were at your computer?" And he's
and
like,
she was too.
Not the whole time." It's just like, what the hell? Dude, I would
Yeah,
have good
he's
on
yeah,
her. Like, I would not
yeah,
have waited 24 and 42 minutes for a guy. I mean,
yeah.
if I was on a reality show, maybe, but that would be the reason why. I would not wait that long just for, like, a
Yeah.
guy to freaking log on. That's
Hey,
insane.
no, I wouldn't either, and I have in the past.
Well,
2
so
hours late.
Brian, one of the things Brian said about me, and he said this at our wedding, he was like, "Our first date, I was actually a few minutes early." And that's when he was like, "Okay, that's the one." He's like, "I've never been with a girl that's been early."
Hey,
So
what's up, Brian? Shout out. I'm gonna
that's
text him right
funny.
now. Hey, you guys don't think
Yeah.
I have Brian's phone number? I hang out with Brian too, by the way. It's not just Shabnam. Brian and I are pretty codependent, actually. He's probably gonna listen.
Oh, man.
Oh.
He's gonna be like,
Uh,
"Why are you guys talking about me on the podcast?" So let's discuss ghosting. So basically, Omnia ghosts him at the end, right? She ghosts him because she's pissed because she's like, "You've been late all the time. Then you disrespect me in front of my friends. Screw you," right?
yeah,
So my theory is that when women ghost men, they do it because they're angry, and when men do it to women, they do it because they're insecure and they're like, "She's too good for me. I'm just gonna like bow out now." That's my theory.
I think you're right. I'm gonna add 2 more negative things to the men's side: insecurity, laziness, and the ability to just, it's a power move. It's powerful. This is the stupidest fucking thing that goes to your head, but it's the most powerful thing you can do. It's like block someone or ghost them. This, by the way, all 8 episodes have some level of ghosting. So nothing's
Yeah.
different. You go through a matchmaker, you're fucking ghosting people through a matchmaker. You can just tell the matchmaker. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. So then she can
Yeah.
update your file, so to speak, right? And put in the bullet point, oh, this person's a bitch. She ghosts or he ghosts. And it's not just
Yeah.
male or female, it's both. But I think you're totally right. I think women are allowed to ghost. I don't think men should be ghosting.
Yeah.
That's my controversial take. Just
That's
tell
a
them.
I
Just
I
tell them
mean, I
what's
like
up.
that. I think, like, men, they're, like, hard nuts to crack. But, like, once you're
Okay, Queen
in
Miriam.
once once you're in with a guy, then they're very invested, but it takes men a long time to invest, I think.
Okay, so this is the only thing I'm going to say about something deep, I guess, since we are talking about the one thing that a lot of cultures, not just Muslim culture, like look at American culture, they're obsessed with dating when they turn 11, right? And then the mom is like, "Oh, do you have a crush on the little boy at school or the little girl at school?"
Yeah.
Whatever. What all I'm going to say about men really is I don't think we're not emotional. I think we're too emotional, and we'd rather have somebody there so then we can just like burst out when we need to. Maybe it's once a year or once every 2 years or once every day or once every other day, but there's like a longing inside you and it just comes out. And that's why they need a partner next to them.
Like, a
Plus
longing
love and
in
respect and all that shit. But
wait,
I
a
think
longing
we
inside
can't
you to what? Talk about your emotion
to like
every
to burst and it's not going to come out in a nice way. And I think
This is,
men
like,
don't realize
sounding
that about
very I don't know
themselves.
if you're talking about sexually or like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
Emotional?
Hey, I
Arguing?
don't know. I don't know. If I knew, I'd probably be married.
Okay.
I can't. This is me communicating with you in front of thousands of people. Hey, we don't know how to do it, right? We just can't do it. So that was my attempt at letting people know what men are like. And now we're even more confused. So I don't know. I feel really
Story of
bad.
my life.
You're already married.
Yeah.
You're good. I feel really bad for this young generation. They are making up words in their lists that aren't real, like main character energy. What the fuck does that mean? Like, I was dating in 1999 looking for somebody with main character energy. No, I was not. If I found somebody with main character energy in 1999, I'd fucking run. Like, what are you
But
talking about? Why would you want somebody up in your face like that? So I don't know who it was, but somebody has main character energy
it's
on their
Noreen,
pros.
Noreen, the next person. So
Let's
I
go.
actually really liked her. So
Yeah, she was
she
my favorite.
says, yeah, she doesn't want to marry a misery Muslim, which I'm like, okay, hell yeah. How many we know a lot of misery
What does that
Muslims.
mean?
I No, misery Muslims are judgy ones that are like basically they're just
Uh,
like you should do this and you shouldn't do that and why don't you do that and
my
how
voice
can we
has
do
a
this?
hint of judgment today, though.
Yeah, you seem a little
I'm
yeah,
sassy today. I'm a little
you
sassy.
are. You're triggered.
Yeah, I'm so triggered.
And she doesn't want a hairy man, which, good luck to her.
That's like the preview, right? When Yasmin is
Yeah.
like, "Girl, so all Muslim men are out."
Yeah, yeah. That was hilarious.
That was funny.
So she's a lawyer, but then she wants someone with main character energy. I don't know if someone with main character energy is good for her because I feel like she's got a lot of main character energy.
I,
And,
what does that mean though? What does she want? That's what I was saying. Like, I don't understand these new words. Like, don't you just want someone kind of nice? Like, what happened to the hits? Why are we trying to evolve human beings? We're still the same.
yeah, I know. I don't know. This is what I think. I think like everybody makes some dumb ass list and then like
Hmm.
when you actually get married and then in the next episode we're going to talk about Yasmin who's also divorced the
Hmm.
candidate on the show and her list is so much simpler because she's actually been married and so she's just like I just want someone
She knows what
nice
she
who's my
wants.
friend,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
before that like you come up with all these words of like people, okay, what are some qualities of people you've been attracted to or whatever, but like actually being married to someone day in and day out, like you don't freaking need main character energy. You just need
No,
someone that's not going to harass you after work,
it's
like
complicated, right? So
yeah.
Noreen lives a pretty substantial life in New York City.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, right? If you're drinking and you're going out, and she does reference it, they're literally drinking on the show, like
Yeah.
her and her match.
Fahim.
So
Yeah.
Fahim and Noreen are the only two drinking on the show. And of course, we're not judging, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's hard to know what you want when you try to balance that sort of life. And for the listeners out there that do not come from the Muslim culture and you're genuinely curious about how Shabnam and I grew up, what were we supposed to do? Right?
Yeah.
So if we wanted to drink when we were 21, but we also wanted to toe the line and go to Sunday school, and then also end up with a Muslim husband when we're 25, it's almost impossible. I don't know what the trajectory there is. I don't know what the timeline there is, other than being a complete fucking asshole. So you get to do whatever you want up until a certain age, and then you marry some down to earth Muslim girl that just wants you to be nice. I don't know. I don't see that being my path, but I
But
that's
that's
why
not what
I'm
they are.
curious about
That's
the
not
show. No, that's
but
not what they
that's
are. This is
yeah.
like a very generic take that I'm letting you guys know about. But what were we supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
With two different it's two different religions, almost even two
Like
different
it's
cultures,
you're
two
like
different
code
worlds.
switching. You're like code
You're code
switching
switching
between
every
cultures,
day, and
right?
you're code switching based on who's in front of you.
And I feel like what you're saying is that that narrows the pool a lot because not only do you need some, like, do you want somebody that aligns maybe with your family's culture and values, but that they also code switch in exactly the same manner you code switch in? Like, that's a freaking impossible pool, you know? And I think that that's where there's a lot of issues in maybe people that try to find that and it misses the mark and they struggle, or people don't end up finding someone for a long time because they can't strike that balance. And you realize like you have to kind of like, I
Yeah.
mean, even Fahim, so part of the end of the story is like he is 4 years younger than Noreen and they
Mhm.
get along really, really well. But you see him having this awkward ass conversation with his mom where his mom's basically like, you're going to marry a girl that's like 4 years older than you. And how is she going to have 6 grandkids of mine and change all their diapers and whatever? And it's like,
She literally
it's,
brings up diapers.
yeah, she
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
The
And
first thing
it's
she
like,
brings up is diapers.
because in a traditional like South Asian mom's perspective, she probably doesn't even fully accept yet that maybe my son and the woman that he marries here doesn't want to have a lot of kids.
Mhm.
Maybe they just want like a couple of kids, or maybe they want a different lifestyle. Like I don't think she can even accept that. And so you see that like at the end of the whole episode, they're together and they're like having fun, but like where is this going, it only time will tell, because like it depends on like how many of these conversations is Fahim gonna have with his mom, and is she gonna accept them or not, and what's his tolerance for if she doesn't accept it, you know like is he going to
Yeah.
choose like
Exactly. And
her, what her
they're doing the
wants,
best they
or
yeah.
yeah, or his own,
Yeah. I don't
yeah,
know. He's doing the best he can. The
yeah,
conversation he has with his mom, he's first of all, he don't know how to cook. What was that? Was that fake cooking scene where his mom's teaching him how to cook? He has a dry plate of chicken and he sprinkles like one like nugget of salt on it and then they throw it in a pan and she's like, very good. I'm like, dude, this isn't real food. It's white people food, man. This was not what I thought I would be seeing in a Pakistani household. I don't actually
no,
know if
they're
he's Pakistani.
Bangladeshi. So they're Bangladeshi, and they did put other
That's
masala in
right. They're
there. They
Bengali.
put like,
Yeah.
yeah, they put like, I don't know what it was like. She was using
One other
the
masala.
Bangladeshi names, and I was like, I don't know what
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
are, but like it was a whole lot of stuff. So
It's just like
yeah,
I'm not saying don't listen to your parents, listeners. Listen to your parents, respect your parents, and heaven is at the feet of your mother, right? So I know all that. But what is going to happen when your parents aren't
yeah,
around and you still got 40 years to go with the person they wanted you to marry? I don't know. I'm just putting
yeah.
that out there. Man, I hope nobody from my family's listening right now.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't know. Like
And she's sweet
I
and nice. Like, let's
yeah,
if we specifically talk about Noreen, there wasn't
yeah,
any red flags about her. She's super pretty. She seemed to have really good friends. She really
yeah.
wanted somebody religious. But then again, we
Great
go back to the
hair.
same thing that we started. It's like, what do you want then? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, you want to be like you can't be two different people. And I just struggle with it
She
myself. And
wants
I could
someone
see
that
her struggling with
religion
it
is
too.
important to them. Like she wants someone where
Hmm.
religion is important to them, but they're not so fixated on the rituals of it, right? Like that's the thing. So like I think there's like rituals in Islam and, you know, Catholicism and other religions as well, right? Where it's like you do this amount of times and you know, like this many Hail Marys. And in Islam, it's like you pray this amount of times and you don't do this and you do that and whatever it is. But there's people that do those things, but they're actually not like maybe doing the spirit of the religion, which is like be kind to people, don't lie. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's these sort of like universal values, and then there's like just the rituals of a specific religion, and it's like how important are the rituals to you versus the actual
Mm-hmm.
universal values. And that's what I think she wants is, does he have these like good actual qualities and values of being a nice person, and is he going to let me do the rituals to the extent I choose to and not, right? Like I think
Yeah.
that's what she means, but I think she's not like maybe articulating it. It's coming across
They
in
don't
this like,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. They don't
I
know. Like I
mean,
said, like
yeah.
Huda was 12, you know, a decade
Yeah.
ago. What do they know? You need life experience to be able to know what you want. And it's the same sort of sad thing when we're trying to have high school seniors decide their entire life and what major they want when they turn 17,
Yeah.
18. They don't know. How are they supposed
Yeah.
to know? And then same
Yeah.
thing when you're 25 to 30 as a Muslim and you've had such a strange upbringing, but you're also trying to toe the line and be American or wherever you are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, she's probably the most well put together in terms of her
Yeah.
list, and she does end up probably with the best match on the show. And we don't know if they get married or if they even
Yeah.
have a fourth date. By the way, all the people on the show in 8 episodes, Shabnam and I do not know what happens after the third date. So I will say that's
Yeah.
a strange thing to end a show with, like Muslim matchmaking. Come on, man. We need to know what happens a little bit, but they don't tell
Yeah.
us anything. So just like Indian matchmaking, thank you for the, I don't know, like are they gonna have season 2 or
Cliffhangers.
what? Who knows? Yeah.
Well,
It's
remember
not
with
even a cliffhanger
Vyasar,
because they're not coming back.
yeah, like with Vyasar and Indian matchmaking, he calls the girl, hello, and then we never know what happens. Nothing ever
Yeah.
happens.
Oh, so hey, everybody go back and listen to after our Indian matchmaking series that Shabnam and I did. We do interview Vyasar and we do
Yeah.
talk to him for quite a while, and he tells us some interesting tidbits on Netflix editing. So please go check that out, and you'd be very
Yeah.
surprised on what he says.
And by the way, this series was also produced by Smriti Mundhra, who
Mhm.
produced that one. So that is
And
it's
Jewish
very
matchmaker.
interesting.
So she's done 3 of these.
Oh, did she do that one too?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And
That one I have not seen. But yeah.
she's also got an Academy Award nominated documentary out called I Am Ready Warden. It's about like the prison system. So that's pretty cool too. So she's doing some cool stuff.
Wow. Marriages to prison. Good for her. If you're
Maybe
listening,
they're more aligned.
bring me on. Want to see my list? Want to see my haram halal ratio? Let's go. Bring that to biodata. Let's see what families say. Let's go.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to the part 1 of Muslim matchmaking. We'll be back with part 2 tomorrow.
We would have done
Take
the whole
care.
thing, but Sameem is having a meltdown. So let's throw this jingle on and give me some water, some ruafsa.
Yeah, take a water break. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go to Sunday school. I need to teach some kids about the real world, and then let's do episode 2 tonight.
Dun, 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 dun.
Later, y'all.